Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker, and I know the past several weeks we've had a lot of fun with crazy openings, but this week I have no time whatsoever because we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes of the show, and we begin with indoor track and field, specifically the 2A West Championships, and here to join me is Boonesboro head coach Becky Walter. Welcome to the show.
Great to be back.
Well, it's terrific to have you back. And of course, this is the time of year where everybody points for that state championship meet. And of course, the regions just having been contested. You get 9 qualifiers on the girls' side. Tell me a little bit about what highlighted that day for your Boonesboro girls.
I think the biggest highlight was probably Megan Grams and Haley Wright going 1-2. They're pretty much the same. Going 1-2 in the 1600 with both of them running faster than the previous school record. Megan coming back off of an injury and showing that she's right where she needs to be.
Yeah, that was a very exciting race, as it turned out, in the 1600, and the two Boonesboro girls neck and neck coming to the finish there. What was the biggest surprise for you on the day on Saturday?
I'm going to say that it was probably Bethany Wallace in the 55 hurdles. She's dropped over a second from her time since the county meet, and I saw her time after the trials of the hurdles and was just blown away by it, and that she'd even qualified for the finals, and then later in the finals, for her to finish 5th and qualify on time just blew me away. It was amazing.
And as far as some of these athletes are concerned, I know the reins were kind of pulled back a little bit during the season. Of course, Megan trying to recuperate from the injury that she had. Haley seems to have had the reins pulled back a little bit, and even so on Saturday. So, how much are they chomping at the bit to be able to let everything go coming up on Monday?
Haley in particular is ready to roll. We finally gave her the go-ahead to race all out at Virginia Tech in the 3200, and she ran an incredible time there. She is really raring for it this weekend. Held her back all season, just kind of building mileage with the main focus being on outdoor. Megan, coming back off the injury, is looking forward to it, and just both of them ready to get out there and see what they can really do.
As far as the girls are concerned, probably not quite the contingent you'd like to have from a team standpoint, but talk about just how difficult this 2A West region is.
2A West is probably one of the most challenging regions in the state, in that just getting out of the region is sometimes harder than competing at the state meet. Austin Ray, for example, on the boys' side, finished, I think, 6th or 7th in the shot put, yet he's ranked, I think, 10th in the state, but he can't get out of the region. So just competing against that level and just looking at the caliber of athletes, I think there were 9 girls that qualified in the 1600 and either 12 or 13 girls in the pole vault. So it's pretty ridiculous when you look at our region and then you compare it to the other regions for 2A.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when you talk about the top talent, it seems to concentrate itself in 2A West, no question. And you mentioned the boys, and in particular the shot put. They used to talk about Penn State being linebacker U. It's like Boonesboro has become shot put high recently in the last several years anyway. And Alec Nittinger, boy, he just keeps throwing further and further, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's really on a roll. I think he's set PRs in the past few meets, in each meet consecutively, and had a few throws the other day warming up that were over 50. So I wouldn't be surprised for him to throw over 50 at the state meet, and I think if he does that, he could come away with the state title.
And his compadre there, Tony DiGiuseppe, probably didn't have quite the day that he wanted to have at regions, but it doesn't mean that he won't be able to let loose at states.
Yeah, he had some good throws from what I was told in the warm-ups, and they've both been throwing really well at practice. And I think if they just get the right throw in at the state meet, I wouldn't be surprised for 1st and 2nd place finish.
Is it a little bit strange going to states without enough for either team to potentially bring back a team championship for you as a coach who's been there and done that before?
Well, the girls actually don't look too bad. Oakdale will be tough. I've got Oakdale pretty far out there ahead of people, but you never know what can happen in some of those events where they're predicted to bring in big points, and you've got hurdles, high jump, pole vault, anything can happen in those events. But after that, I've got in 2nd place Liberty and us in 3rd, Century in 4th. So the top 4 teams in the region look to be the top 4 teams in the state. But we're the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place teams are all very close.
Yeah, so you have athletes in half of the events on the girls' side. I believe 9 in 7 events. What's your coaching style like going there? I mean, is it more at this point in time of kind of just getting them amped up for this enough, and then when they get there to kind of draw them back a little bit so they concentrate on what they need to do that day? I mean, what do you need to do as a coach at this point?
Well, with most of the kids, the focus was trying to get qualified for states. So the training had to kind of be directed at the region meet, and now we just stay fresh and do what we can for this week, and then go into the state meet and just be as focused as they can be and do what they can do and what they've been training for all season long. We may have only qualified in a few events, but I think we have the potential to score in almost all of those events.
Well, I know it's a fine line between being happy with getting to states and then actually getting there and doing something. But again, you certainly have the experience as a head coach there. Certainly appreciate you coming on the show today, and best of luck coming up on Monday.
Thank you.
I will be right back after this. I've got head coach TJ Hood from Smithsburg to talk about the 1A right after this.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Don't give in to the winter blahs when bad weather hits. Sleet, ice, and snow days are perfect days to cuddle up with Antietam Cable. Antietam Digital Cable offers a huge selection of on-demand movies and shows to watch when you're snowed in. It's like having a multiplex movie theater right in your own home. Ordering is simple. Go to Channel 1 to make your selection, and your choice plays instantly. Pause, fast forward, rewind. You're in control. Stay warm, stay inside, and make Snow Day Movie Day with video on demand from Antietam Cable.
Behind every great child, there is a great foundation. Premier Martial Arts will empower your child and give them a premier foundation to success. Our instructors have the passion to teach classes designed to build premier skills. Your child will develop greater self-control, confidence, and concentration. Premier Martial Arts will take your child up the path of greatness. Call Premier Martial Arts today.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with more indoor track and field now, and joining me is the coach of the 1A West Region champions from Smithsburg, TJ Hood. Welcome to the show. Obviously, we talked before the season started. This was a big goal to get the region championships. Both the boys and the girls prevail there, but now it's on to the big prize on Monday down in Landover. The girls last week, when they were here, Kate and Gabby talked about the fact that, hey, we're underdogs, so there isn't a lot of pressure on us. Is that something that you're instilling in them, that, hey, you can go after this without worrying about the fact that anybody's expecting you to win?
Yeah, that's definitely the best approach for us. I only coached track and field one season under Coach Buddy Orndorff, but every day he taught me something about track and field, just being in the same school as him, coaching football with him. And he was a big proponent of it's a lot easier when you're the underdog, especially in a sport like track and field. Literally you're out on the track trying to catch people. So when you're the underdog, it's just a little bit easier. And that's how I always like to run when I ran. I liked people out in front of me to chase down. I describe, you got to be a wolf, and you got to want to run people down. So it makes it a little bit easier. And although we were the region champs for the girls, Manchester Valley is probably the team to beat. They have the girls that can score some big time points at the state meet. So I still would call them the favorite, but that's what I prefer because it's a lot more fun to run people down.
Yeah, 19 qualifiers and 13 events over on the girls' side, and the closest Smithsburg's gotten back in 2010, runners-up for the girls. So love to get over that hump. I remember last year, actually, Coach, down there at Landover after it was all over and the boys had won their title, Coach Schreiber said to me, man, I'd love to get one of these for the girls. So little did everybody know that the very next year you'd be right back there with a great opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity is there, and that's all you can ask for is to have a chance. And that's something we preach to the kids. We qualified someone in every single event for the girls, as you mentioned, all 13 of the events, which is huge. So we have the opportunity to score lots and lots of points, and that's what it all boils down to. It would be nice to win it for the girls and the boys. We've never done that in indoor track. Actually, no Washington County team has ever won the boys and girls title for indoor track at the same time. So that would be extra sweet. That would make for quite a ruckusy bus ride home.
I'm sure it would. Man, that bus would be rocking on the way home. There's no
Hopefully.
question of that. For the boys, 16 qualifiers in 11 events there. And as I asked the guys who were here last week, is that enough to get it done from a team standpoint?
Most certainly. In track and field, depending on what events you have, how many kids you have, you can win it with very few events represented, as has happened in the past. But the only 2 events we didn't get anybody into was the high jump, which we didn't have anybody contesting that at the region championship, and our 4x2, which was disqualified. But with 11 events, and again, our boys, we have a lot more people who are seeded to get those big time points, those first, seconds, and thirds, whereas on our girls' side, we have a lot more girls that are seeded to get those 4ths through 8ths. So different makeup of teams, but it's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say.
What kind of a challenge does that present for you from a coaching standpoint?
It is very challenging. Again, as we were saying, it's easier to play the underdog, which our girls certainly are. Our boys are the defending champs. So while it's very close right now, I had the state meet down to a single point, it's always harder when everybody's got their target on you. Every coach this week is telling their kids, their boys' teams, Smithsburg's the team to beat. If you want to beat champions, you've got to beat Smithsburg. Pikesville's telling their kids that. That's who we beat last year. Fairmont Heights telling their kids that. That's a team I have up there. Central out of Prince George's County as well. So they can point to us and say, that's a team you have to beat. We have the target on our backs, and that's a hard thing to play up. But then, as I'm telling our guys, you're the defending champs, and we're playing that. With the girls' team, we got to play it slightly differently and keep them focused on just do your job and hope Manchester Valley messes up, which we think they can. They did it at the region meet, and when they mess up, we'll be there to take advantage of their mistakes.
Yeah, getting back to the girls, and you mentioned Manchester Valley. I mean, how big is that to see that you can outdistance them like you did at the region meet versus last year at States when Manchester Valley finished ahead of Smithsburg?
Yeah, but interestingly, last year Manchester Valley should have won the state meet. They were seeded on paper to win that pretty handily.
And Pikesville just did edge them out, right?
Pikesville just did edge them out. Pikesville is always tough to see what they have because they run down at the Armory in Baltimore, which is essentially running on a gym floor. Whereas we get to run at HCC, which is a better surface, and then at Prince George's County, that's the best surface of all. The kids can wear spikes. So the times don't transfer as nicely as they do an outdoor track. But, for example, Manchester Valley had a girl who was probably one of the top 3 hurdlers in the state last year, and she hit her hurdle in the trials and didn't advance. So they lost 6 points just like that. And other little things started happening. That happened to them at the region meet as well. They had the number 1 seed in the hurdles. She really just technique broke down and allowed Haley Hartney to beat her in that race when Haley wasn't supposed to. That happens again at the state meet. That's a big time difference in points, so that could go our way. Same girl had a major mess up in the high jump, barely qualified. They had a girl in the 500 who should have won by about 10 seconds, and she ran 5 seconds slower than she had all year. So we're telling our girls the same thing can happen in the States, and if it does, that could very well be the difference.
Well, many times it plays out to be formful, but then there are other times when it doesn't. That's why they run the races and they contest all of the events. When it comes to pressure, you apply it or you feel it, and hopefully for your Leopards, you'll be applying it come Monday. Coach, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'll be back right after this. Coach Mike Rekturovic from the Williamsport Wrestling Wildcats here in just a moment.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Don't give in to the winter blahs when bad weather hits. Sleet, ice, and snow days are perfect days to cuddle up with Antietam Cable. Antietam Digital Cable offers a huge selection of on-demand movies and shows to watch when you're snowed in. It's like having a multiplex movie theater right in your own home. Ordering is simple. Go to Channel 1 to make your selection, and your choice plays instantly. Pause, fast forward, rewind. You're in control. Stay warm, stay inside, and make Snow Day Movie Day with video on demand from Antietam Cable.
Behind every great child, there is a great foundation. Premier Martial Arts will empower your child and give them a premier foundation to success. Our instructors have the passion to teach classes designed to build premier skills. Your child will develop greater self-control, confidence, and concentration. Premier Martial Arts will take your child up the path of greatness. Call Premier Martial Arts today.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue now with wrestling. And joining me is Williamsport head coach Mike Rektorovec. Welcome to the show. Been trying to get you on since the preview show. I know you're a busy guy, but certainly your labor has paid off this season. 21-1 record for Williamsport right now. And I have to ask you this first, on the heels of last year, where you had the best season ever at Williamsport with a 21-3 record. This team this season, 1-14. Is this the best team you've ever had?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I've had some teams that definitely could compete with these guys. We're pretty tough up top, my upper weights. I had a couple years ago a team with Kemper Baker and Zach Shoemaker and all those guys on it that definitely,
right.
If not beat this team, would have given a run for our money. But it's one of the best teams I've ever had, put it that way, for sure, for certain. It's one of the best teams.
And in terms of checking off goals for this season, obviously you get to the big meet coming up on Wednesday, which ostensibly leads to the even bigger one on Saturday. One of those things that you sort of shoot for in terms of the region duels, and you get to host that. I mean, how big is that for this team to get that at home?
It's pretty cool. Well, first off, it was going to be in Northern Garrett if we didn't have to go there, and no one really wants to take that 2.5-hour bus drive.
That's a long way to go.
Yeah, if you don't have to. But one of our goals in the beginning of the year was to make the regional duels. We've made it only, I think, 2 other times since I've been head coach, and we've never won a match in those 2 times. We always got ousted in the first round. So we're hoping to, be in the 1 seed there. If we can, make a run at this thing, it'll be nice.
Yeah, so you face Century in that first one, and then the other 2 facing off there, Northern Garrett that you mentioned, and Middletown, and you've already knocked off both of those this year, but I'm sure you're telling the guys this week, hey, that means absolutely nothing, and first things first, we need to take care of business with Century.
Century is a tough team. We wrestled them at the Rebel Duels, and we won a close match with a bunch of close matches during that match in it. We beat Northern Garrett and Middletown, but Middletown was a long time ago, and they've got some guys back in the lineup now, and they were missing some stuff then, so we've got our work cut out for us, to say the least.
And speaking of being in the lineup, this has been a team that's been riddled by injuries throughout the course of the season. Just how healthy are you guys right now?
We're getting there. We're about as healthy as we were since that Middletown match was like the last time we were really healthy. Because we had some guys get hurt in that match, and then we haven't had them back, and they were in and out, and some other guys get hurt during the season. So we're getting there. We're not 100%, but we've got everybody back, but we've still got a long way to go as far as conditioning and stuff to get them back to where they need to be.
Individually, last Wednesday, St. John Shoup wins the 100th match of his career. What does a milestone like that mean?
Means you put a lot of hard work into it for 4 years. To get to 100 wins, you got to be a good wrestler in the varsity lineup for 4 years, because it's really tough to do. You'd have to have some outstanding years to do it in less than 4 years. And St. John's been a great wrestler for our program for 4 years, and he's a real tough kid and probably one of the hardest workers I've ever coached, so he deserves it.
You got 6 wrestlers now with at least 25 wins, and obviously everybody pointing toward the end of the season for states. Everything sort of adds up and gets you there. But how satisfied are you right now with where the bulk of your guys are?
Not really satisfied at all.
I knew you would say that because you're very much a taskmaster, and you never rest on your laurels. You're only as good as your last match, but then the next one comes along and you have to be even better.
Yeah, well, and in our region, to even get out of our region, you've got to be really, really wrestling well that weekend. Doesn't matter what you do until that weekend. You could be the ranked number 1 in the state, but if you go to that region tournament and you're not wrestling well, your season will end right there. So now we've got a lot of work left in front of us, and all those guys with over 25 wins, they've put themselves in good position as far as regional points and regional seeding and that, but I've seen a lot of 1 seeds in our region not make it to the state tournament, so there's still a lot of work left to do.
Before you beat Northern Garrett last Thursday, wrestled St. James the night before. Is that something that we'll see more of, kind of, a public school versus private school? I mean, especially with the way scheduling might change a little bit here in the years to come?
Yeah, maybe, possibly, because it seems like we won't be wrestling as much of the Frederick County schools and that with the MVAL disappearing, but and we've wrestled St. James for 4 or 5 years now. We like to do it's an inter-town rivalry, and
right.
It's kind of cool. It's a short trip for both of us, and they got a good program over there, and they have a bunch of JV wrestlers, and we usually do, and it's a good chance for those guys to get on the mat and get matches where not a lot of teams we wrestle have a lot of JV wrestlers. So it's a good opportunity for those guys, and it's a fun dual meet being right here in our hometown.
And I haven't gotten to address this on the show yet, but the whole, whatever you want to call it, clerical error gate with North Hagerstown or whatever, you feel that was the right decision that was made by the MPSSAA on that?
Well, I mean, anyone who was in that gym that day and saw us wrestle North knows who won that dual meet, so the right team won.
Yeah. Obviously, that's
Yeah.
something that you never want to get penalized for making an error, but at the same time, there's always that, ignorance of the law doesn't absolve you from it and all of
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
again, I'm not sure the punishment fit the crime, but that was up to them. So that's
Yeah,
all
it is.
taken care of at this point. Well, Coach, best of luck coming up on Wednesday, and hope to see you wrestling on Saturday for a state dual meet title.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
I'll be back right after this. Got a little boys basketball to talk about before we're through in just a moment.
Since 1963, you've been trusting the folks at Hagerstown Floors. It's still a family-owned and operated business featuring a variety of high-quality flooring choices for your home, like carpet, ceramic, hardwood, vinyl, and we offer floor sanding and refinishing for your existing hardwoods. And you'll find us stocked warehouse, full of flooring options for do-it-yourselfers, or take advantage of our in-house installers for expert installation. Hagerstown Floors on Virginia Avenue in Hagerstown, the trusted name in flooring since 1963.
Don't give in to the winter blahs when bad weather hits. Sleet, ice, and snow days are perfect days to cuddle up with Antietam Cable. Antietam Digital Cable offers a huge selection of on-demand movies and shows to watch when you're snowed in. It's like having a multiplex movie theater right in your own home. Ordering is simple. Go to Channel 1 to make your selection, and your choice plays instantly. Pause, fast forward, rewind. You're in control. Stay warm, stay inside, and make Snow Day Movie Day with video on demand from Antietam Cable.
If there's one thing my dad taught me, when life doesn't go exactly how you plan, keep it simple. Sometimes a few curveballs are thrown your way. With one visit to Bank of Charlestown, they helped me map out a strategy to start the next chapter of my life. Even though I work with my hands, I still work with people. That's what BCT does best. They're my trusted advisor for all the details and whatever comes next.
From home improvement loans and mortgages to business lines of credit, find out what a partnership with BCT can do for you. BCT, we simplify your financial life. Now in Hagerstown.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. In boys basketball, last Friday with the Antietam Conference title hanging in the balance, the Williamsport Wildcats went seeking an equalizing victory at front-running South Hagerstown. Coach Ryan Grable's Cats entered the night 9-1 in MVAL Antietam play, with their only loss a decidedly lopsided one some 21 days earlier at the hands of Coach Kevin Naylor's Conference Perfect Rebels. This one turned out not only to be a much closer game, but would ultimately belie the old adage, the last team to score will win it. In an opening quarter that saw 6 lead changes and 2 ties, what seemed like a worst-case scenario for South when leading scorer Jacoby Lott picked up his second personal foul and had to sit just 6 minutes and 48 seconds in, actually became Williamsport's worst nightmare when Glenn Tinsley replaced him. Tinsley, who was second to Lott in point production for the Rebels in January 9th's meeting with the Wildcats, needed only to be in the gym to score on Friday. Shooting from almost any spot on the floor, the junior drilled 4 3-pointers in the second quarter, accounting for 12 of South's 17 points in the period as the Rebels broke away from an 11-all tie after one to take a 28-25 lead to halftime. But the Cats weren't about to go away. When Carter Hughes finished Zach Barr's feed in the paint, they were back in front for the first time since the first quarter, for all of 20 seconds anyway. Jeffrey Wetzel's 3-ball preceded James Brooks's steal and dunk that vaulted the Rebels back on top 33-29. However, in a game that was evolving into a battle of the lines, the aforementioned 3-point line for South versus the free throw line for Williamsport, a great example was about to unfold. Following 3 makes from the stripe by Marquill Nelson, Lott got them all back on one big jumper at the 5-minute mark of the third that established a 5-point margin. The Wildcats used some precision passing to trim their deficit to 43-42 with 57 seconds remaining in the period, but Wetzel answered moments later from beyond the arc, and then, after a pair of Williamsport free throws, Jordan Luna had the final say of the quarter with a huge stick back just before it expired. Leading 48-44 through 3, South used its defense and high percentage shots to widen the gap, with 3 of them triggered by steals. All 5 of the Rebels' fourth quarter field goals were layups, including Luna's driving bucket that made it 62-54 South Hagerstown with 2:19 showing on the clock. But it was far from over. Just over a minute later, Jake Arnone's deflection earned him a transition basket on the outlet from Michael Kelbaugh. Just before the hustle of Barr on the ensuing inbounds resulted in Michael Riley's lay-in, a sequence that produced 4 Wildcat points in 14 seconds. And they still weren't finished. On the heels of a missed Rebel free throw, Kelbaugh canned a 3 to pull Williamsport within 1 point with 22.1 remaining. Suddenly, the roles were reversed, a Wildcat three-pointer versus South free throws, and Luna came through by converting a pair from the line to extend the Rebel lead to 3, naturally, with 11.9 seconds. Following a Williamsport timeout, Riley inbounded to Kelbaugh, unable to get the ball back in the hands of the team's leading scorer. Kelbaugh got a good look, but came up short, and when he chased down his rebound but didn't kick it back out, so did the Cats, despite scoring last in a one-possession game. That doesn't happen often, as Williamsport found a new way to die by the 3. South somehow managed to escape in a game in which it was outscored 9-2 in the final minute. The answer lies in what was done behind those lines I documented. While Williamsport went 20 of 23 from the charity stripe to outscore the Rebels by 9 points there, it was what South did from distance, all in the first 3 quarters incidentally, knocking down 8 from long range to just 1 by the Cats for a point differential of 21 that enabled the Rebels to hold on. South Hagerstown, at the very least, assured itself of a share of the MVAL Antietam crown with the W, which, oh, by the way, was its 14th straight. The Rebels' final 2 conference games were this week at Catoctin and at home against North. Monday night, the camera and I were in Clear Spring to gather a little intel on Smithsburg in advance of my announcing duties for the Leopards' Friday night matchup with Boonesboro. While I learned some things about Smithsburg, what I need to show you is a little of what the Blazers' Spencer Schultz did. I personally can't remember witnessing a single player score all of his team's points in an opening quarter. After Monday, I won't forget it. On a night in which Blazer coach John Hustle had just 9 players dressed, his leading scorer was that and more. Dropping in all 13 of Clear Spring's first period points was merely the appetizer for Schultz on a night he would feast on the Leopards. Now, keep in mind that the 6'5" junior had already scored 41 points in a game this season and was coming off a school record 45 his last time out on Friday against Northern Garrett. It's safe to say that the county's leading scorer, averaging 25.6 per game after Monday, is in a zone like no other player right now. At halftime, Clear Spring had 28 points on the board, 20 of them from Schultz, and Smithsburg as a team had 21. Schultz hit 12 of his 17 field goal attempts and 15 of his 16 free throws en route to a game-high 40 in the Blazers' 70-54 victory. Incredibly, Schultz is now accounting for almost 42% of Clear Spring's point production. By the way, the Blazers are now 3-0 when number 1 scores 40 or more in a game this season, and they're 5-9 when he doesn't. There's your key to success in Clear Spring. Don't you wish all things were so clear? Like what to do for your significant other for Valentine's Day? A card, chocolates, dinner, wings and a fanny pack? Can't even help you with that one because I ate them all. I'm sure you'll figure it out though. Hey, maybe it's jewelry like something gold or silver or bronze. Wait, those are the prizes for the State Indoor Track and Field Championships. And among other things, just one we'll show and tell you about next week. Until then, happy Valentine's Day. Look for our airings of the Boonesboro-Smithsburg basketball game on Antietam Cable, and I'll look for you next time right here on The Inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets. Hey, don't complain to mother, they sitting undercover. You gotta get up